purpose of today's call is to make it very clear that you can get your product online and you can make it successful with an alternative path. A lot of people get stuck thinking that they need to have a big audience and they need to have all their marketing in place. They need to do paid Facebook ads to start a business. I think that's a very backwards way of doing things. I know that it can work at times and some people go that path, but I want to share with you today another path that you can go down, another way of doing things, and two of the recent sort of stories of how that's worked. And yeah, the goal would be that by the end of this call, you're much clearer of like, oh, okay, that's how I can get a product off the ground in a cheap way, in an effective way, in an honest and authentic way. So yeah, I've got Luke and Nick who've both just been through product launches, and I'd love to sort of hear a bit from your perspective of what you've experienced with getting your products off the ground, working together with Uncommon Success players. So yeah, Luke, you want to share a little bit there first?
Sure, why not? Hey Matt, how's it going? I can see him. He was on the latest course of ours. I haven't spoken in a while, but yeah, no, thanks for getting us on the call. I think probably about 2 months now, maybe just over 2 months, I think I came to Keegs and I was just like, look, I've got this program I've, created. I've developed this video course, which is, the first digital product I've ever, created. So it was a completely new venture for me. And there was a lot of unknown, things involved. And it was a massive, massive learning curve to kind of get it to that stage where it was even presentable to people. And yeah, after that initial thrust, I was like, okay, cool. I'm done now. I'm going to make, I'm going to be able to help a load of people and make a bunch of money, and it's just going to be easy sailing. And I think I spoke to Keegan and I was like, okay, he was like, how many people have done the course? And I was like, my brother. And it was like, the problem was, I had this, I knew I had a product. I knew I could help people with what I had packaged together, but like I hadn't put it through the ringer and I hadn't put people into it to see the effect it could have or see the results it could have. And I think, the plan was with Uncommon, it was to set up a case study group where I got I think it was 10 or 12 people that we took through in the first round. But we set up a deposit scheme where people put a deposit down and they could get $200 back at the end after successfully completing the course. And at the end of the course, I would then get a video testimonial, which I could use for marketing purposes. And, so going through that, setting that whole process up, but having access to the Uncommon, group, which was incredibly, was my perfect target audience, essentially. So it was health and fitness coaches. And yeah, so went ahead, dipped into the Uncommon, network and got people into the program. It was massively oversubscribed at first. I think I had about 25 people, asking to jump on the course. So initially I was like, going from 0 to 100, I was like, holy crap, there's actually a need for this. And slowly across the 2 weeks of actually running that program, I was able to work closely with those people and go through the program with them step by step, learning, okay, I can improve here, I can improve there, or this is doing really well and this is helping people. And, coming out of that process, having gotten such, in-depth feedback on the program, I think it was a great feeling that people were actually enjoying the program. But I think the biggest thing for me was actually believing that I had something that I could sell. And, before I kind of did that and jumped into that program, I didn't necessarily have that belief in the program because I was like, well, I don't know if it works. I don't know if it works. And going out of that, having the confidence now to know that my product can actually help people has been the biggest sort of saving grace in what I've been doing, and has given me the confidence to press ahead, even when times aren't, easy, and when maybe things get a bit sticky. It's like, okay, no, think about, the testimonials you got and the people you've helped through that program. So Yeah, I mean, that's just a little bit about the start. Obviously, I can go into more detail, Keys, but is that all right as a top level entry point? Because
Yeah, I think
you
it's
know,
cool to hear the concepts, Luke, and knowing that these are real people. They really want to have better videos, and that if they do have better videos, they can live their dream. Like they can connect with more people who they're
100%.
with, and it actually means a huge difference. It makes a huge difference, and people really do want to know how to make good videos in this case. So yeah, I think like that humanizing the business is probably like a big thing that I've seen with your journey there, Luke, where it goes from being like numbers and making sales to some of these people have become good friends, and they really know and trust and like you based on the course that you've delivered to them. And that's a good position for future business, but it's also a good position for life. People
Yeah,
are
yeah,
going to want to see you. They're going to want to, you've got more friends literally as a result of
yeah,
that first iteration, the second iteration, third iteration. Now, every time you're going through this, you're building your connections and network, and people who care about you, who want to see you do well. Like, it's important to have that league of people that care about you, that want to see you do well, as well as people who've bought from you. Like there's different levels of what you get out of a customer. A sale is not just a sale; it's all sorts of different benefits that come with it. I think you've experienced that.
yeah, yeah. I think it's been definitely a massive learning curve. I've gone from selling video services to massive brands and marketing teams and stuff, to selling to individuals, and to me that's been like an amazing experience, because like I much prefer dealing with the individual and seeing how I can actually help someone, as opposed to working with big corporations and stuff like that. So in that sense, it's been a really positive change in my own career, where I find it a lot more fulfilling than, like right now, like I'm still running those production projects. And like, I mean, I would love to get to the stage where I don't need to do that anymore, because it's just a completely, a different sort of, it's a different game in a way. It's a different game. And I feel like as an individual, like I feel like I can have more impact on an individual level, where I'm working with real people, like you say, and almost making those friendship connections when I am connecting with people. And I feel like that is something I've been able to do with UNCOM. Even the people that I haven't sold to, it's like people that I've met, just a good example is Steph, for example. He was in the first group, and we still catch up weekly. Like, that's pretty epic. So that's something I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, and you came to the last live event that I did in Spain, the sort of 5-day event with Mitch Pike as the co-presenter there with me, and
Yeah.
you were kind of the odd one out a little bit. I mean, everyone's an odd one out at our events, but you wanted to make more of an impact with coaches and trainers then, and I've seen that you haven't really been able to do it. And now I felt like with starting UNCOM Success, like, now I definitely can help you do this, man. Like, let me help you do this.
Yeah.
Let's start making this transition. And now seeing you actually do it, and yeah, you haven't made tons of money yet, but the amount of confidence that you have based on you've had results with people, your product works, you've made your product better and better and better again. Like, that puts you in a better position. But I love the fact that because you are such a caring person, and I saw at that event, the way you connected with other people and how deeply it sort of impacted you, that you're getting to do business in that way now. And that's like the biggest blessing, to have your business feel the way that it sort of felt at that event, where you're playing a really important support role in someone's life through your service. And that's what it feels like with UNCOM Success for me. Like, it's a great way to do business. I'm sure everybody can't maybe have a business like this. I don't know, but I think everyone in Uncommon Success can, because whatever it is that you do, there's other people here that will want support towards that. With that, if you're at a beginner level, then mastermind with people. If you're at an elite level, then mentor them. I just love I love the fact that you're really the first case of this model working well. And And so, yeah, I appreciate you having the faith to have a crack at this with me. And I'm really glad to see, it unfolding. We've spoken a lot about where's the product going and exactly what do you want to do with it. And, my ideas, your ideas and customer feedback. And it's going to continue to evolve. But what's certain is that there is value in this and people are valuing it. And you're getting to a point where if you do go and Facebook market it or whatever, you really know you've got conviction of like, I really want these people in and I know that I'm going to be able to help them, which is different to where you were, a few months back.
Yeah, 100%. I can probably talk. Do you want me to talk about the Facebook ads thing and how that's kind of gone? And
you can do. I've mentioned it a few times.
It might be worth kind of mentioning that. Just so basically, what I did was, when I was creating the program, I invested in a marketing program with Facebook ads. It was a marketing team to help me set up a funnel and everything. And it's basically like they did amazing work setting up a funnel, doing the whole ebook thing, the sales page. And it was incredibly huge learning curve for me, in the sense that, I feel like I can quite confidently replicate what they've done. So in a way, it's been an amazing learning curve. But the problem is, like, they were starting from absolute scratch. They had no idea. we had no idea if the actual program worked, or, in sort of to what degree the ads would be working, right? So basically now I've completely paused all sort of Facebook ads, and I'm totally focusing on iterating the product until I know it's like, hot and it can actually serve people. And I know it can to some degree now, but I'm still, there's still a lot of, things around the way I'm communicating the product and the problems that I'm solving. And I feel like I need to have that down to a T before I, delve into Facebook and Instagram ads. So if anyone is, sort of considering that, before your product is ready, I would suggest, going this approach where you are working with Uncommon to have this highly targeted, highly focused feedback on the product before you go and delve into that. It's almost like I was paying it to dig in different areas before I knew where to sort of dig down onto where the gold is, essentially. And it's like, Uncom will help you find where the goal is and where to dig. And then once you know where to dig, that's when you can throw other things like ad dollars at it. So just a little bit of advice, I would have probably done that a little bit differently, next time around.
Yeah, I appreciate you having the courage to share that. And there are always benefits when you do those things, and you've learned about the funnel and things like that. But it is. I think it's a huge advantage to be able to get that market research and get experience before you have to, because if you don't have an audience, then it's difficult to get your market research done, to find those people to test things and people who are really committed and who are in the right target as well. But it's, you've done really well, man. And I appreciate you sharing that journey so far. I would, jump to Nick. I remember the biggest memory, or the last memory that we had. I remember sitting in the sauna with Nick, just talking about where he's going with life and what the opportunities are. And he'd been to a few different Real Movement events. He'd been kind of a star of the community for a while, and I saw huge potential in his future. And he's one of the first to set up effectively what is now like the UNCOM village is pretty much what Nick did. He set up a location just outside of Sydney where people could go and experience something like what we're doing with Real Movement, but that idea of other people doing it, decentralizing it. I didn't know how to link the projects together at that stage. And, so I wasn't really able to help him that much with it at that time. But I've known that Nick has something special, and Nick's known that he has something special as well with helping trainers. And so recently I kind of badgered him to reconnect and sort of be someone who could help coaches get started. And so, Nick kind of took me up on that offer, and we've been going back and forward on what he can do and how. But maybe cool if you share a bit of like where you were at before, we spoke because I think you're in a really interesting place in life and doing interesting stuff there.
Yeah, awesome, Keeks. Badgering's an interesting word. I've always got time for Keegan. I guess the point where this came from, guys, he's been a mentor for me for a very long time. So maybe it comes in pivotal times in my life or career that we seem to touch base again, Keegs, and reconnect, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I guess where I was in a position where I was wanting to make more of a shift towards working with personal trainers more. I was currently doing one-on-one mentoring and kind of working a little bit with people that way, but I wanted to, have a bigger impact. And off the back of Keeg's stuff, I guess I'd been starting to tap into a little bit of Alex Hormozy anyway. And then, yeah, I jumped on Telegram for whatever reason. And then we started chatting naturally. And then Keeg's kind of challenged me with the idea of, I guess, how to service them more or quicker, or getting the audience growing rather than, I guess, how I'd been doing it, which was one-on-one. And then obviously introducing me to the awesome UNCOM community, which a few of the legends are on the call, I could see, which is awesome. So yeah, I was kind of where I was at. I'm in a position where we're traveling for 12 months and seeing the world, showing my little 1-year-old the world while I'm making the shift to, which is my goal, to be completely geographically independent, which I'm going well with so far, but I need to grow a lot more if I want to sustain growing 1-year-old and everything that we want to do, which is Europe and Bali next. We're currently in New Zealand, originally from Australia. But yeah, I guess leveraging the community has been huge for me to get contact with new trainers and new faces and just determined people. So I'm not sure if I hit the question there, Keeks, but
well, I think the cool part, one of the cool parts, is the fact that you're traveling the world to run these events now. Like, you're pretty much doing what I was doing back in 2015, correct. 16. Yeah. Like, you're doing that in your own way now, which is phenomenal. Yeah. And when I heard that you're doing that, I'm like, man, I need to help make sure these events are full. And, like, this needs to continue. So I know I have more, I can help. And so I'm, you gave me the opportunity to help. And that was where we sort of started speaking about, well, what if there was a shorter, more tangible outcome that people in my audience who don't really know you would be like, well, yeah, I want that. If it looks clear and if the offer's good, the Hormozy type stuff, it's like they're going to say yes to it. And then you're going to have more, raving fans, and you're going to have people who want to come to these events. Like, if you give someone the money, of course they're going to want to come to Mike's gym in Spain. Like, you got to put the money in their pocket first, and then they can choose if they want to come and have these experiences with you. So that was kind of a bit of the conversation. What did you think when we first started talking about the concept of the business, like I guess the product to fit within your existing business?
Yeah, well, just to give it, I guess, a bit of ground on for anyone listening about where I am, and maybe they can resonate a little bit. I'm really good at what I do, which is, coaching people, coaching mentors, running these training experiences. And I have a lot of confidence in that. But, like anyone, it's like, okay, then how do I grow my audience, and how do I scale? Because one-on-one conversations and face-to-face in a gym and everything like that, awesome. I'll get them signed up. But like someone on the internet who doesn't know me, good luck, so, and I guess that's where I probably resonate with Luke there, like paid ads, you can throw a lot of money at paid ads, but unless it's right, you're not going to get anyone clicking through to it and buying in and investing in you. So I guess I had the confidence. So then it was kind of like, okay, what I'm open to it, because like we discussed, I'm in the same way that I'm going to quote him a little bit now, Keegs, probably you and Hormozy, it's that concept of wanting to offer something the people who, who are broke or who need help don't have, but don't know how to get going. It's kind of like, that's me for PTs. I've been there. So I want to help them get out of that position, and I was probably leaning a lot more into the coach's education side, which isn't the real pain. The real pain is actually having enough money to pay rent and to be able to reinvest in your business and grow your business. So I guess this gave me an avenue of being able to speak to them in that way, and to that audience about, being able to afford and being able to make more money and being able to get more clients. So I guess I was open to something new, and this was completely different from what I've done before, because I've never done, the ideas of money back guarantees or this kind of stuff. It's always just been, the direct sale of, I give you this, you give me that. That's how it is. Like, which is a slower process to obviously taking people on. I'm learning a bit more now, but yeah. So I guess I was open to it, but it was very different to anything I've done before. And I think it fits in quite nicely with my business as very much an onboarding process to then qualify them to go to my experiences or the next things onward from there, or the mentoring. Yeah.
We went pretty aggressive with both your offers. How did you feel about, Luke went straight in with like full money back as long as you complete the course. Nick's got the money back, even though you've done heaps of high-end premium training. Like, how have you felt about the vulnerability or the risk of those offers?
Yeah, I'm okay with it, hey, because maybe I would have felt different if it was completely money back. I didn't go all the way like you there, Luke. That's awesome, man. Well done. So mine was more of a partial money back. And then based off, if I don't get you the result, I'll keep working with you, which is, considering they're the people I want to work with, it just feels like a no-brainer. Like if money didn't matter, I'd probably work with these people for free anyway. So money's just so I can create more and give more. So I guess fine with it, but yeah, I didn't do the full money back.
Yeah, I think with Luke, it was good probably to feel that demand, like where you had 25 people wanted to do it because it was free, but it definitely doesn't feel exactly the same as free either. Like, I kind of hate free. I think if you'd have done it free with 5, it would have been horrible, because you actually had to put the $200 down. I think you got great, you got really enthusiastic people who wanted their $200 back, which is fine, but they actually, bought in hard. Like, how did that feel being the business owner yourself? Like, I'm on the outside.
Yeah, it actually felt good because it completely took the pressure off in a way, because I was like, you're in this course pretty much for free, and it meant that I don't know, when people pay me, and I don't know if this is with you guys, but I feel massive like an obligation to just make the experience incredible. And or even if they're paying a small amount, I feel like this massive, just you're paying me and you're putting your trust in me, so that therefore I have to make this incredible. Sometimes to my detriment, because sometimes I'll bend too far back over for clients, especially some of my bigger ones and stuff like that. So it was in a way, it was like a great first start, because I was like, okay, I'm giving you a lot of value, and you're putting your trust in me. You're adding value to me by just doing the program. And that's how I was looking at. I wasn't even looking at it from a money standpoint. I was like, I just want you to get your money back. I just want your feedback and your testimonial at the end of it. So in a way, I wasn't really too worried about giving it away for, giving them 100% of the deposit back. There were a couple of people who didn't go through all the way. But pretty much everyone had full engagement, and I ended up giving pretty much everyone their deposit back, which in a way, what I've noticed comparing to the second group I took through, which was you pay a certain fee and that's it. There was no deposit on the second case study group. And quite interestingly, the difference was the first group almost had a higher engagement, and they fully went through every step of the process to the end, because there was that thing that they were almost getting back as a reward at the end of it. Whereas the next group, they could dive in, take as much information from the program as they wanted until they felt like they'd got enough value. And then I guess, they didn't need to keep coming back, or they didn't need to, go the whole way through, which has made me think a few things, because I was running it like a 3-week or 2-week program, and maybe that is not the way to do it. Maybe people just get access to the program and they can do it at their own time, or they have the accountability. So it's hard. It's a hard call, but I chatted to Keegan about it. But the first way, if you could somehow tap into that for programs going forward and try and guarantee that amount of engagement in the course, where people have money on the line, where people are going to get money back from finishing your program, it's like it just guarantees a level of commitment and engagement in it. But yeah, it was interesting to see that.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good experience, and it does change the dynamic of the course, how you structure the payments. And if it's it's a subscription and it's paid monthly, and they can cancel any time, that's a different dynamic to someone who pays for a year up front. And these other dynamics that we've played with is a huge part of what we're building with UNCOM and the Web3 integrations and such, is so that people want to win the NFT, they want to win tokens for completing the course. I was even thinking about it just now, like, what if UNCOM 25 players could win a pass that allowed them to choose whether they would do your course or whether they would do Nick's course? If you've got these kind of entry-level group courses, then if they've won it as a prize for working hard, then they're kind of pre-qualified already as being hard workers. With UNCOM 25 being like a game of consistency, it could be the perfect incentive, really. And then you're getting someone who's probably in your target. They've chosen you out of other options that they could have chosen. Like, I was just thinking about that as a way that we can synergize even further. And it obviously elevates you as authorities within the community as well, because it means that I believe in your product and other people believe in your product. And it keeps your marketing present within our community. Like Pete likes the idea. That's what we're trying to build, more incentive into people to play the game of UNCOM 25 and the game of Uncommon Success, because everyone's busy. Things are competing for attention. But we literally want people to achieve their dreams, like to go after things that are bigger than. So like experimenting with these financial models and innovating in this space, I think is a really key part of the future of e-learning, which is a huge industry now.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's really interesting because I feel like, and Nick, you probably experience this because you do in-person programs too, right? It's like when you have the people there, it's probably you obviously guarantee just a next level of people interacting with each other and people getting a huge amount up. You almost guarantee everyone gets, probably don't, but everyone probably gets a huge amount of the program. Whereas online, where it is sort of separated, it's like people still get value from your program, but it just depends on their level of motivation, how much time they have, how much things they have going on. You can't almost guarantee that they will be there focused entirely on learning your material. So I think that's a really sort of interesting thing to try and solve, I guess, for online learning, because there is so much potential with e-learning, and how much the scale of how many people we can impact is off the charts. So it's just like, how do we guarantee that level of commitment and buy-in? I've felt it myself. Like, if you look at UNCOM 25 for April, like I was all in. Like, it was all in April. I was like there. I was like, we were chatting, weekly geeks, and it was just a completely intensive experience. And then, for example, like the sales by hard course, like I'm trying to get into it like on a weekly basis to try and give my feedback, stay on top of it. But there's a difference, because I've got so much crap going on in my head. I've got like projects that I'm managing. I've got these things that I'm in it trying to do. It's like, how can I guarantee myself to show up to that? You know what I'm saying? So that's just my own experience, but like, it's not like I'm an unmotivated learner. It's not like I don't want to learn these things, or it's not like I'm not hardworking, but it's more like, it's just like another thing to try and prioritize. And maybe the difference was in All in April, I paid a lot more money than I did for the sales by heart. And just interesting to see the different dynamics, and it's not that I don't find it valuable and I'm not learning huge amounts from that and putting myself out there, but it's just like, it's just interesting to see, and maybe the answer is somewhere in there, somewhere in between that.
Yeah, I didn't put really any kind of incentive in the Sell by Heart, and it's because I'm kind of building out the course. And but I can see that if I'd, putting a higher price point on it, putting a reward in there, like it definitely it would be running significantly better. So yeah, these are good experiments and experiences for us to go through, and yeah, we're getting to a place that other online education isn't going. So I think that's the main thing. Like, we continue to iterate and experiment. I'd like to open up now for kind of questions, discussion. I know Pete and Matthew have been playing hard in UNCOM. Daniel as well is working with us now with UNCOM. He's gone from being a top player to being on the team and being a key member of what we're doing. Matthias is also on the call here, who's been one of the top players since the start of UNCOM, and he's also felt that pressure of other projects popping up. He got involved with Freak Athlete Essentials kind of through our network as well, with Benji. Lee's a new member. M is one of our UNCOM 25 NFT holders. I'd love to hear from you guys, like what you're hearing, what you're picking up from this so far.
King Matthias, you got your hand up.
Yeah, thanks there. Good thought. I was just jumping in here for the last 10 minutes, and I heard the discussion around how to engage people. And I just found it very interesting that if you manage to get people to learn the most, it's when you get them their money back at the end, because there will be like a reward, and they just go through it and they commit fully. And yeah, that's a good way of doing it. But because people will learn, right? But at the end, you don't get any money out of it, so it's not a substantial business, right? But some ideas was just popping up my head, and you have probably thought the same, I can imagine. But what if you had like a two-step course, or just a two way of doing it? So the one will be like $500, and it will be a full commitment. Don't know about the price, something like that. It will be a full commitment for the month, and you will help them through it one-on-one or in small groups, and you will commit fully to it, and you will have them commit fully to it as well. And the reward at the end will be more like something, okay, if you don't get out to people, or if you don't raise your followers, you will get your money back. And I can imagine that it will be a commitment that you can make, right? Because your videos and how you like doing it will probably raise their reach or their followers getting up or something like that. But it will be for them a security for like, okay, if I don't get anything out of this course, I can get my money back. And then another way of doing it can be like a smaller deposit. So it can be half the price or something like that, and it will be more like an e-learning course. So you have to go through it yourself, step by step. And then in the end, that can be more like a okay, if you got through the all and you find it interesting, then I will make a 1 hour call with you. We can set up a plan how to get your videos in. I can even help you with one of your longer videos as well. So if they get through the whole course in that time frame of the month, you will give them a reward in your attention, like a 1 hour call or 2 hour call, or you will help them on that project or something like that. So you will have the rewards in the end, not being them getting the money back, but getting your attention instead. So they will get a bit more out of it if they commit to it. Yeah, it was just something popping up my head. You can take it or you can.
I like it, man. I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea. I think that's something Keegan, has tapped into a lot with offering prizes, and it's definitely something I could probably step up. And I think absolutely, I think that's a great idea. I think Hormozy talks about that a lot. Having those guarantees where it's like, I guarantee X, X, and X. One thing I have thought about, and be good to hear you guys' opinions on it, is is people setting the price that they think is, you know, giving people the option to set how much they want to pay for the program. And, you know, you could have a suggested amount, and then I guess, you know, people could either get it for, you know, $1 or $500 or whatever. What are your guys' thoughts around that? I think where I got that idea was, you know, Charles Eisenstein, he does sacred economics, and he talks about the gift economy. And yeah, what are your guys' thoughts around that? Like giving people the option to set their own price.
I think that's kind of brilliant. When I think about the potentials of signing up to some sort of online learning program, and the first thing that popped to mind when you said that was essentially this concept of, you know, when you're buying something online and you can select like which product, and then, you know, the different features and the different price shows up, right? What if you had, it's just, and this is kind of just an add-on to your idea. I think it's a great idea. I love those kinds of things where you can, like, it's really laid out for you and you can really just like pay what makes sense for you. But what if you set it up such that the price that a customer inputs changes what they get? So on the face of it, before you've set a price, there's a base product, right? There's a base, whatever they're getting out of this program. But when they put in $50 or when they put in $100 or when they put in $200, the benefits that they're getting in the program actually updates to reflect the increase in price. And so it's kind of a discovery thing for them, where if they play around with the numbers on their own, like on their screen, they'll see that you're offering them more if they choose to increase the price. So you're not selling them different packages. You're saying, pay whatever you like, and it's a great offer for whatever the minimum price is. But as they increase voluntarily, you give them more.
That's cool, man. I really like that. I think it's a good idea. I think that's a good idea. I think it will also just help, you know, get the program out to more people. You know, it's like it almost stops that limitation of you having to, you know, sort of try and explain to people why it's beneficial. But you know, I think that's a really cool idea. What did M say? Or you could have a minimum price, and while they go through it and see the value, they could tip you with more, but that would need honest clients to work. Yeah. No, it's actually, I think I really resonate with that idea. And if you guys want to read more about that, check out Charles Eisenstein. I think it's Charles Eisenstein, Sacred Economics. He talks about the gift economy, and he talks about how, you know, he obviously believes that is how things should go, and that's how things should progress. I know a lot of people who sort of have like yoga classes, and they have a yoga system based on people come and they pay whatever they feel like they should pay for the yoga session. And, you know, obviously some people, like the majority of people, don't pay that much, but a lot of people, a small percentage, actually pay far over what the actual value is. So yeah, it's an interesting concept, and actually maybe something that is worth testing on this the next sort of iteration of this program. Yeah.
I was going to add to that, guys. It's kind of like, for me, that's an interesting one, because it's almost like a little bit of chicken and the egg. It's like doing that optional price strategy. Probably the fall down is the fact that society's not prepared for it in a way, like as to how much they should pay, or get confused by the concept. There is a restaurant in Sydney, I know, that hires, you know, what's it called? Ex-prison or whatever it might be, people, or homeless or whatever, to work there. And it's the same concept of you pay however much for your meal. And I can just imagine the mix of people go there that, you know, who would pay what in that scenario. So I guess my kind of point that I'd throw in the mix here would be, it comes back to who your customer is, and who, as I work with the guys in my course, your ideal customer. Like, you got to put yourself in their shoes massively to recognize what their price range is, what their salary is, what they can afford, and where they can go from there. Because I think doing something like that might be even an awesome way to figure out what your program's worth. Or even at the end of your program, you give them, you know, would you pay 500 for this? Would you pay 100 for this? What would you pay for this? And I've done that with a product before. And, you know, you're often surprised. It's often they don't pick the lower one. If they've really enjoyed your course and got a lot of money out of it, that you'll find the people who really get into it, they often don't pick the lowest price from it, unless you've kind of been way off with your with your questions. But yeah, that's my biggest thing, I guess, that I'd throw in there is like, before you do any pricing or even think about what you should charge for something, have you put yourself in the shoes of the person that's got to buy it, their stresses, what they got going on in their life, what their income is, what their availability is, and considering that first. Maybe you guys have. I'm just throwing that in the mix. Yeah.
I mean, that's what we did in April as well, in a way, but I put a limited number of places on it and a short time period. So the offers were between, I mean, we had offers down from like $50, but the offers who ended up winning were between like $500 and $2,000 to work together for the month. And yeah, like I enjoyed doing it that way. I think it was fun. And I think we got some really, really good results. Like people really wanted to do it, who did it. But yeah, there's a lot of variables to sort of think about there with who your clientele is, and yeah, like how much you need the money and stuff as well. Like, and yeah, there's a lot of things to play with. It also depends how much trust you already have. Like with the people that I was offering that to, like most of them, pretty much everyone who bought had already worked with me quite closely. We've known each other for a significant period of time. Not everybody, but if it's like cold sales, then how are they going to put a value on your stuff when they don't already know you, they don't already trust you? So yeah, paying at the end could definitely work for a product like Nix. I think paying at the end could actually be a really good idea for the 5 and 25. So you pre-qualify them in some way, like through an interview or, knowing exactly where they're at, make sure that they're serious. Maybe they pay a small deposit, but then, yeah, they like pay at the end. Because if someone has picked up like 5 clients, then that's probably worth like 5-10 grand to them. So, they're probably going to pay more than whatever your course is costing at the moment. And then maybe you go to a more fixed price later on. If you keep it at like 10 people a month or whatever, then it could be 5 grand for the month. And people might be happy to pay that based on bonuses and what they get after and staying a member of the club and whatever, like depending on how you frame the value. You could incorporate some of what they pay into the ticket price of the future events. And yeah, all this stuff is so much fun. So all you really need is like listing all the value that you could offer is something that I've written down here, because with the idea that Daniel was saying, like if you actually list it all out, like if someone wanted to pay you 100 grand, what would you give them? Like, and then, map it all out. If someone wanted to give you like $1, what could you give them? And if you kind of map out your whole thing of like what can I offer someone that's all value, then it can fit. You can play with all of these variables, but you have it. You have a foundation almost for where you might put them.
I think just to sort of play the other side. Like the only problem with the gift economy for me is when you want to guarantee someone's buy-in and how committed, it goes back to the committed thing. It's like, or you almost need to charge a higher ticket in order for them to actually make the change themselves. And it's like, I don't know where I read this, but it's like it's almost your obligation to charge like a good amount for your program to ensure that people are committed throughout and that they get results. Like I think I think who is it that said it? I think Tony Robbins has like a $10,000 business mastery course or something like that. And he says in the program, he's like, the reason we've set it at this price is like, if we did it any lower, you wouldn't guarantee the results for yourself. So it's an interesting one. It's like a fine line balance, but I do think there's benefit of having, potentially having a base iteration of your program, which people can set the price for. And then you have like your higher ticket one where you're like, hey, this is where you are guaranteed to get X result, essentially. So yeah. And then you're just like, well, why didn't you just put the content for free on YouTube then? So it's like, it's a bit of a balance, but I guess it's testing,
Yeah, I just had 2 thoughts on that. A good one. I'm not
Yeah.
sure where I got it from, but it was very much like make your free shit better than their paid shit.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, but I guess
Yeah.
what I wanted to throw in there with you guys for that one is like, what is the product? Is it an onboarding product, or is it like your continuation evergreen product? And if it's an onboarding one, I think you have fun with this free stuff, and that's the idea, to get people's attention and get them on board. And then when they trust you, they're invested, you know, kind of like, I think I talked to Keegs about Hormozy as well. It was kind of, you know, the give, get concepts, like depending on how you're going with that, with your business in terms of growth. The get, like the continuation offer, I think Mateus just put it in, like that's your high price ticket offer. You know, that's your big investment up front, get big result kind of thing, I would think. And that's not every business. I know it's not an umbrella concept, but I would think that of a lot of us who are doing either one-to-one or small group or whatever, you know, you kind of need an onboarding offer that's attractive and is on their level of what they can afford or can commit to, like either mentally or literally what they have in their pocket. And then after that, it's the continuation that's either higher price or bigger commitment or whatever it might be. I don't know how everyone feels about that.
Sorry, I was just reading some of these comments here. Yeah, I get what you're saying, man. I think when Hormozy's crazy in the sense that his content is actually just ridiculously good. You know, all of his free stuff that he has on his website. So he is living that, you know, make your free content better than, I bet there's a lot of people selling programs which he's teaching, you know, for free on his website, which is insane. So it's definitely something, you know, I'm trying to think about, is like how, you know, I have an idea to, you know, trying to build up the YouTube channel now, where I'm trying to give out value on a weekly basis and trying to build up my emails and everything like that. But yeah, it's just the process of setting that up alongside the, you know, the business of it, and trying to have the value ladder. Like I want to have the base product, and then you have that higher ticket service, like you're saying. I think it's important to have that variety. But let me look at this. So Emily said, how do you make sure that your content will not be recorded and sent to the buddy after they finish the course? Kind of what was the thinking process to find the right price for your product? Okay, so that's a good question. Like I guess there's no way to guarantee that people won't record it. There is a feature on Thinkific which I've used. It's like people can't copy and paste any of the text, but I mean that doesn't really help if your program is video course like mine. But like I think I need to see. I know like Netflix has this feature where it notices when you try and screenshot something or screen record. So I need to have a look, but I guess there's no way of guaranteeing that people won't stick up a camera and record it. And if they do, I'll be like, man, that's a compliment. Wow, my content's good enough for you to record it and stick it up somewhere else. Like, fair play. And Matthias, he said the problem with B2C is that they will have time to learn it themselves. B2B companies want help again. So interesting you say that. So one side of my business is working with B2B companies, creating videos for them. So that's, you know, obviously a done for you program. That's a done for you service. And you know, with B2C, it's like, here, this is the program so you can learn how to do it yourself. And like I've been thinking, I was like, could I create a program which can help B2B companies create better content themselves? You know, as content becomes less and less expensive to make, you know, even bigger companies are, you know, able to outsource and create their content themselves. So to be honest, like I much prefer working B2C. Like B2B has been one of the most stressful things of my life the last 3 years. Like these clients tend to be incredibly demanding, and you know, they don't, you know, I to be honest, man, like I'm quite a sensitive dude. Like when I get like hectic clients going off, you know, it's not a fun experience. And it's, you know, I know you have to go through it. I've been through that experience so many times. But like I said earlier, working with B2C, you know, clients where I can actually see the impact that I'm having on someone is a much more fulfilling experience for me. And I personally want to move away from doing B2B marketing and video creation. So yeah, I just want to get out of that corporate world as much as possible. And that's kind of where I'm at.
Right, I think Luke, you're probably experiencing that, like when you're working one-to-one with someone, like you're actually helping that single individual and they really care about the outcome. So they're hanging on to every word that you're saying. And the guys that are in a massive corporation, they've just got a manager above them harassing them about the job that they were supposed to sort out. So they only care about, is it done yet? Is it finished? When's the deadline? Like, do you know what I mean? So it's definitely better for you in terms of like creating the product and building connection with people, because in the long run, again, that's just going to help you further down the line. So yeah.
100%, man. 100%. It's an interesting game. Like, I've learned so much from being in that realm, like having my own business, servicing these clients, these marketing departments. And in a way, you know, it's been a process of detaching myself from, you know, the outcomes. Like, I've managed to get some really amazing, you know, results for clients, but you always get the experience where you know, things maybe don't go right, and you have to, and I guess that's with life, you know, that's with anything. And that could happen, you know, with a B2C client. Someone might hate your product and tell you that they hate it. And so maybe right now, like, you know, me seeing B2B as something different is, you know, maybe there is no difference. You know, maybe it just depends how much ego I have attached to my doing or what my product is, you know. Because I think one of the biggest learnings for me recently has been detaching how much value I see in myself, you know, not attaching my value to what someone else sees my value as. I don't know if that makes sense. It's more like I derive my value from what I believe in myself. And for a long time, I've always judged how good I am or how valuable I am in the world based on what other people think of me. And that's been a massive detriment, because when a client does come back and says this works shit, like, oh man, it hurts, you know what I'm saying? And in a way, it's like, how do I detach myself from that outcome and be like, actually, you know, you might be having a shit day, or yes, the product might be crap, but it doesn't mean I'm not good at my job. And that has been like a massive process and learning for me. And, you know, I'm still trying to get better in that area, you know. And I would love to be able to be completely emotionless when that negative feedback comes through, or be detached from it. But it's not the case, man. Like, I feel shit when that happens. You know, I feel very, very responsible for anyone who's paying me. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have experienced something like that.
I think you would be a robot if you weren't experiencing emotion anymore, but especially if someone insults you. But no, definitely, like you say, what was it going? Sorry, I've lost it.
No, it's fine.
Hormozy even says that, like, he still struggles with what you're talking about there, Luke. Like, there's a balance with it. If you completely lose it, then that's when you can become, you know, a dictator or someone who really does the wrong thing by people, because you have no empathy, no feelings. Like, it's okay. It's just, having the emotional skills to be able to move past things and, you know, take the professional angle from it and stuff. It's not easy. I definitely battle with this as well. Like, I want everybody to have a great experience within my products, and, you know, the feedback has and continues to be like, this is really overwhelming, this is really confusing, and it sucks. Like, I hate getting that feedback. At the same time, I know we're building something really special, and I know, like, you know, even just your 2 case studies is like, we need to keep going with this and push through the fact that it's not perfect to get to where we want to go to. You know, Vanuatu Village wouldn't be being built if we hadn't have just launched Uncommon Success. Mount Montenegro Village wouldn't be being built if we hadn't have just launched Uncommon Success. So it's both of those things. Like, I do really want it to be better, but at the same time, like, I know there would have been a huge cost to trying to make things perfect. You know, I never would have been able to help either of you two with where you're going at the moment. There would have been no community for you to offer these things to. So there's a balance between this, the price that you pay. Microsoft's products still suck. They still always crash. Like I don't really use any at the moment, but the last time I did, you know, they were still bugging out and crashing all the time, PowerPoint and whatnot. So, you know, you can make billions of dollars with products that aren't quite perfect. So, you know, holding ourselves to a standard of being like a micro business that everything's going to be perfect and there's never going to be any negative feedback is just not realistic, and that's not how business works. Like Google was in beta for 5 years or so when it was, you know, it's like had hundreds of millions of users and it was still in beta, you know. So yeah, we can't hold ourselves to those standards, but at the same time we want things to get better, and that's you know, that's the balance of it.
I think a quote that really helped me with this is like, nothing avails but perfection may also be spelled as paralysis. So it's like, you know, constantly striving for perfection is just like, you're not going to get anything done. And like, I think one of the biggest things for me was like, okay, just let go of like this need to please, because at the end of the day, I feel like it comes down to a need to please people or make people happy, you know, almost over myself. And it has in a way stopped me sometimes from publishing my work or getting my views out there or getting my product out there until, you know, until I believe it's perfect. And I think that is probably one of the biggest things is like, okay, it's good enough, get it out there, iterate, get the feedback in, iterate, get the feedback in, and then make it better, you know. And it's like that, I guess, is one of the biggest things that doing these case study groups with Uncommon has allowed me to do, is like, okay, I came to you, I was like, Keeks, here's the program. Like, I already know that I could probably make some changes to it and make it better, but you know, you were able to encourage me to actually just get it out into the world and put it in front of people. And actually that fear that I had in getting it out there, this baby that I've been nursing for like ages, and putting so much work into, and, you know, overcoming that fear of getting it out into the world and actually getting it into people's hands was probably the most important step I've taken in the last few months. So yeah, it's this fine balance of not letting perfectionism kill you. And I know it's been a massive challenge for me is perfectionism. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know what childhood trauma that comes from. Was that, you know, a need to please my parents or something? Probably. But you know, that's the journey we have to go through, you know.
I'll throw to Jimmy here, but the blessing is that you do amazing quality work as well, Luke. Like, you want to see both sides of this thing first. It's also, you can do things that other people can't do because you have this eye, you know. So it's like learning to live yourself and love both sides. Like
100%.
Luke, I'm spewing I never jumped on when we first sort of met.
You missed the free offer, bro. You missed the free offer.
I didn't even know it. I was like trying to get reception standing on top of a car. Like, I gutted it. But been following closely ever since on your content and what you're creating. And man, you are such an authentic, pure, beautiful individual who, you know, anything you're putting out and the work you're putting out is going to help one person. If you can help one person, that one person's going to become your biggest ambassador. You're going to have all the people who you've worked with and clients and all those big corporates who is the great portfolio, but it's those little ones which become your biggest ambassadors. And gutted I wasn't one of them early in the piece, but I'll probably look to become one of them at some stage. So yeah, man, look, keep doing what you're doing. You're on fire, and it's awesome watching your progress. So
thanks, man. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
And the Mr. Nice Guy, that's a struggle which I've only just probably come to realize I shared on the Uncommon as well. And I think it's, funnily enough, after reading a book called No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover, he talks about a generation of men who were, a lot of them who would have been brought up by but by a feminine power, or where there was this kind of lack. I've got to be careful with my words here. I don't want to get naughty. Like, you can
Say what's on your mind.
Yeah, go no filter, man.
I wouldn't want to upset the apple cart. Yeah, you can. There's this probably generation which was, and they explain it really well in the book, where there was not the hard sort of masculine sort of power of raising the men to be, you know, not always trying to please. It was just like, no, this is what I want, and this, you know, and kind of asking of them, whereas there's the softer archetype, which is kind of like trying to please, and that can be the little bit of the feminine sort of side, which is always trying to kind of people please and say yes. And it's natural human to always try and perfect and to polish and to do better. But there seems to be these sort of couple of generations, and I'm surrounded, and I'm one of them who's constantly always just tried to satiate everybody, and at my detriment, you know, then you become miserable in yourself. And Will Smith, I read his book recently, and he talks about that, and everybody talks about him being a bit of a prick in this, you know, as a celebrity. But that was him actually saying, you know, I can't be nice to everybody. He needs his time, like he needed his time to himself, and to ask of other people and stuff like that. So yeah, I feel you. Anyway, I've gone on a rant, and
no, thanks for sharing, man. Honestly, thanks. I appreciate you sharing that, because it's nice to hear that, you know, it's I guess it's like something that maybe a lot of us are experiencing. And I do appreciate, like, the way that I was brought up, like, was a balance between my mother and father. And like, it was, you know, I'm realizing the older I get, it's like the more stuff that I almost need to unpack from my childhood and the way that I was brought up from my mother, from my father. And you know, whether it is the balance between the feminine and the masculine, like, I do, you know, I think for as long as I can remember, there's been that almost need to please, or that almost avoidance of conflict. Whereas there are some areas where I can go into conflict and I can stand up for myself or speak up for myself. But then there's areas where, you know, I'm like, shit, like everything is fighting against saying no to this opportunity, or not being able to please this client. And for me, it's been the biggest area that's happened is in my work, is in like, okay, client, you know, how can I make this client as happy as possible? And yeah, it's crazy, man. It's like I'm doing this journaling practice, and like every single morning, like I'll think about something that is coming up for me, and I'll be like, okay, it'll remind me of this childhood experience where I remember one of my parents or a teacher or someone will say something to me, and I just remember what they say to me so clearly. And it's like, I remember someone said to me, they were like, you know, it's okay to lie. Like, you can lie every now and then. Like, you can tell a lie if it helps you get something. I was like, okay. Like, I internalized that as a person, and it's only till like now that I've realized that the truth is like one of the most important things to stand by. And I was like, shit, like when I was a kid, I was told that, and I had internalized that till now when I'm, you know, 28 years old. It's like, there's so many moments, and it's like, what I'm trying to do is like not have resentment to these almost, you know, perceived things which maybe aren't perceived as like strength, but rather look at it like as an opportunity to grow, you know, and as an opportunity to show up better in my life, and be more truthful, or be more, you know, standing on my values, to be able to say no to an opportunity that isn't right to me. So yeah, so it's a crazy journey, man. But I guess that's the path we're on, you know.
Good.
It's the human side to launching a course. But it is though, you know, it is all this stuff. Like, it's the beliefs and the character, the attitude, like that stuff that underpins is really what makes the difference. And sometimes a bit of transfer of belief is what, you know, I'm able to help out with, where you believe in yourself little bit more, to actually experience a little bit more. And then that creates that positive feedback loop where it's like, yeah, I can do this, and I'm away and I can think bigger. I know Nick is already kind of can see multi-million-dollar potential in his business that he probably couldn't see a couple of months ago. Like you've said a couple of times, like, what do I owe you for this, Keegs? Like, what's the deal here? Because you can see, like, even though I've only helped you get like a few, free clients or cheap clients, whatever, like, or help you with a little bit with the business concept, it's like you can already see an exponential future for yourself. And that's what we can do for each other here. Like Jimmy giving that feedback means a lot to Luke. You haven't even done the course, but and then Daniel's saying, always love it when Jimmy contributes on a call. Like, Jimmy, you're a beast, but you do have this side that you kind of present yourself as being this guy that's, just too nice and doesn't have like courage, but then you're a hunter, and you definitely have a strong side to you and a courageous side. And you need to go, I'm looking forward to you going through the journey that Nick and Luke and that are going through, and everyone's doing it at their own speed. But I love that we're putting the human side of this on the table, because it's not just skills. It's not just about use Thinkific or use LearnWorlds or whatever. It's the human side, that believing in yourself, building the confidence, putting yourself out there, dealing with whatever's coming up with the journaling and such. Like, that's where we are going to open up that 7-8 figure potential and go and solve these things and go and build the villages or build the schools or whatever it is, the bigger stuff. It comes from getting deeper on these. So yeah, I love that. That's where the conversation's going, and I think we all have this stuff to reflect on. Yeah, that was my rant.
Quickly add to that. Just to tie it back to the course and business and everything, like I'm sure a lot of you experience the same, but the process of creating this course and this program and running a business has been the biggest self-development journey of my life, like 100%. Like the trials and the tribulations and the successes and the wins and the ups and the downs, like, have taught me so much more about myself than I think any other thing could have taught me. And that's something I'm very grateful for. And anyone who's considering going down this path, like, it's not an easy path. And I know Keegan says that a lot, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, because it is making me a better man because of it. And that is just a fact. And whether I make a shitload of money or not, like, it doesn't matter, because I feel like I'm growing as a human being and I'm healing a lot of sides of myself. And, that month, Keegs, when we did work together, like, you did help me see potential that I never saw before, because I was so stuck in the weeds of doing and creating. I was like, Keegan was like, this is going to be this, you're going to be able to help this many people, you're going to have this much success. And I was like, holy shit, like that lit a fire under my ass to be able to push through those resistance moments. And I feel like being able to push through the resistance moments where shit is not easy and you are, struggling, that is probably the most important skill, I guess, you can have is that resilience. So.
Well, I'm going to have to jump off, guys, but thank you so much, Luke. I look forward to connecting with you again. And you've inspired me to, like, I've been journaling, I've been noting, I've been toying with all these different hunting courses or different things like that. So they're all coming into the making. And thank you, Keegan, as well, for the kind words. But yeah, you guys are doing awesome, and nice to meet you all as well for the other gentlemen.
Cheers, Jimmy.
Cheers, guys.
Sure, Jimmy. I love that kind of business therapy thing that you bring up there. Like, that, it is the best self-development tool. You can read all the self-development you like, but when the rubber hits the road and you have to, you want to serve people, you're building the thing, you're getting in front of the camera, you're making the sales, like, it's better than sport. Like, I used to do sport. I used to help people win at sport, and it was fun. And sport is also a good self-development tool and a way to experience yourself and toughness and discipline and camaraderie. I just like the sport of business, the sport of success better than I like, those other games where you get points and then everyone kind of forgets about it versus, well, some people don't, but versus this stuff, which is, more for keeps and can shape the world. So that's pretty much why I gave up pro sport, shaping athletes. But I do, that's why I've gone with this uncommon success players, is because this is a game, and you play the game well, and you develop yourself. And for me, it's still what I was doing in professional sport, but instead of helping Sonny Bill Williams, I'm helping you, and I'm happier, to do it in this way. But I love that way that you're framing this as being the best self-development program method. Going through that process, and the money side is there. I'd love to hear if Lee wants to share anything. I know you sort of shared on the call yesterday, I think it was. It'd be good to hear what you're thinking there if you are on here live. I know did Matthew go through your course as well, Luke? He's working with Nick at the moment.
Yeah, I was on Luke's course. It's probably the 5 and 25 and video gym course. Probably if they round in the opposite way, probably would have been better. For me, the 5 and 25 has been really good. It's come at a great time. The video gym course was amazing. But I necessarily didn't have the kind of clear vision or direction with where it was gonna go, but now I have that, and the lessons that I've picked up from Luke will come to fruition, definitely. Just to kind of like touch upon like stuff earlier in the call, the thing I think that I've learned from Nick and Luke and yourself, Keegan, is just the idea of just getting started and just believing in yourself, that you have kind of greatness within you. Luke spoke about Steph. I spoke to him kind of just at the start of my real UNCOM journey, just over a month ago, and he touched upon that as well, the idea of kind of worthiness and stuff. It's really important for someone like myself, like knowing that I have that kind of greatness within me, but not necessarily believing in myself. The kind of the main lesson that I've certainly learned over my journey so far is that idea of just getting started and believing in yourself, and then through the sport of business, iterating as you go, because I think as well the your best, your ICA as Nick calls it, is probably someone that's is fairly close to you, like you're not necessarily an expert to them, but a little bit more than them, but that's often the best teacher, is the person that is 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. So that's something that's really opened my eyes to the stuff that I've learned from Keegan and Luke and Nick over the last kind of 5-6 weeks. And
you've kind of been thinking about where sport fits. I remember when we first spoke, like the soccer was a big thing for you, football, as you put it, and now you're buying into the possibility of business making an impact on your future as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, particularly obviously in this part of the world, in this part of the country as well, like football is like for males, it's like, and for women as well, but for guys, like it's it is the culture. So for me, it's felt a bit strange, like probably the first time in my life where it's doesn't really feel important anymore. Like like Scotland were playing a few games recently, and like I didn't care that we lost, like whereas before it would have been like, oh, you're down in the dumps for a few days. But yes, it's good, like to have that kind of detachment. Luke kind of spoke about that in terms of like kind of emotional detachment from business, but as well from like other things. I think being too invested in sport, here you've got like the two main teams, Celtic and Rangers. You know, it's like it's like a war. You know, people just get way too invested in it, and it's like, yeah, that's kind of what I've observed. It's just, yeah, people are way too invested. I was definitely guilty of that, and it really affects you. You know, it affects your life, and it's just a game at the end of the day. So, yeah.
Yeah, I had that shift probably a bit later than you. I mean, I had it for a while when I was traveling, but it's funny when you start to consider like, oh, maybe it doesn't matter if my team wins or not. It's like when that's been such a huge part of your upbringing, and it's always mattered so much. It's funny to move away from it, but yeah, shifts in values, and that's what the colors system is in UNCOMs. You know, wary values, and then it relates to different aspects. Like you can be very orange when it comes to sport and very achiever focused and driven, but then you can have a strong rejection of orange when it comes to the business side. And that's probably the most common thing that I see, is that people would like the idea of secondary incomes or online business, but then when you get down to it, like there's a strong rejection of success in business, in offering the product, and all of that emotional side that goes with building a business is sort of what needs to be addressed and experienced. And that's what I think what Luke especially has gone through here. That process is a big part of what we've spoken about today. When Nick was maybe already worked through a lot of that with running a gym for quite a while and having his business running in this similar way, maybe it hasn't been as much on that side. Is that fair to say for you, Nick, or am I?
Yeah, I was gonna jump in it, waiting for an opportunity to say, I think, Luke, it's quite cool, man. You and I have had a very different experience of what is effectively, I guess, the same thing, launching a product within UNCOM, which is, I guess, kind of cool for this audience, whoever watches, because it's not linear like any things in life. It can be completely different. So for me, yeah, bang on, Keegan. Like I've got products, I'm already working with the people I want to be working with. It's just the scale and the format and the being able to reach more of them, so I guess like I don't know if you remember, Keegan, from us chatting on Telegram, but I threw my course together in 10 days. Like I had the content already, in my head and whatever. And it was just a matter of me putting it through my website and videoing it and getting it live sort of thing and updating the website. So in terms of like getting it out there and launching, it was a quick turnaround for me, and my confidence in it was high, like in my ability to deliver the product and get the people results. But it was, it was the enticing offer and the format of attracting and having the backing of someone like Keegan, throwing people at you, which is pretty awesome as well. So yeah, I think we are very different, but I guess the end result is growth either way, and your business and your personal development, I guess, from it. So yeah, bang on, Keegs.
Fast turnaround. You took massive action. I was bugging you for maybe a month or so before that. You went on holiday to Fiji after I first sort of talked to you about this, and then like, all right, at some stage he's going to do this thing. But then from when you actually decided, when we sort of settled on the product idea, then it was quick.
Yeah, real quick. But I know, again, it's like, what have you been listening to, right? I had a conversation with you. I had Hormozy in my ear every day, and his whole thing was, trait with the, what's the, I hear that inversion podcast. I don't know if you guys listen to that one. It's like, if you don't want to be an athlete, don't train. If you like looking at what you don't do to not have it kind of thing. And one of his things was, you think about a wealthy, successful person, they'll get something done in 30 minutes that would take someone else 3 weeks with back and forward, like it's getting things done quicker. And not that it's the right way for everything, but that was just kind of the attitude I took to it. It's like, you've got the stuff, just get it done and get it out there, and start now. If not now, when? If not you, who? It's kind of a question I think we've talked to before. I think, Kibbs, that might have been a sauna question.
Maybe. But yeah, I felt like that for GSD. I felt like that back in the day with you, that there was a lot more there, and I think I was always a bit frustrated that my business model didn't really have a place for it. Like it didn't fit together. I couldn't work it out in my mind. Looking back, like I've done this in 2016, it would have been great. you know, like that would have been a great on-ramp for people then to maybe come to some of my events and then come to your events. And, you know, you would have been earlier in your journey at that point. It would have been great, but I couldn't see things in that lens at that time. And maybe that's the thing for people listening as well, is like that's why we need to mastermind and also speak to mentors, because they'll see things through a different lens. And sometimes an idea will click and then you'll just go with it. You know, sometimes that might be me, but it might also be Nick or it's Luke or whoever. Like I'm fortunate enough to have met lots of really successful people and had conversations with them, and they always challenge me. Like I spoke with Mark Burris, is quite well known in Australia. He had a finance company that he sold, $100 million exit, and he worked on he was on the board at the Sydney Roosters. And I did maybe like 5 or 6 him. And I still go back to the things that he talked to me about of, you know, like, this is the way that you want to structure your company, that it's going to grow. The more each of us is pursuing our own development and different mentors and experiences, then the richer it's going to be. I think it's so valuable to have these conversations, but also to have the one-to-one conversations of like, this is where I'm going. This is, you know, what I'm going to do. This is the path that I'm on at the moment. Like what can you see? I asked Nick for feedback on the Sell by Heart chat, and he gave me a list of feedback that I just whacked, that were like, that I sort of didn't know how I'd managed to miss putting them in the course. And there's still a bunch of things that I want to put in there that I haven't put in there yet. But like, also having the courage to ask for help, you know, that's a key thing. And your connection with Matthew and Pete, you can definitely ask them for help. Like, they will want to help you. And that's the cool thing about this as well, is it's not the traditional customer business relationship. Like, it's more human, it's more personal, and there's more mutual benefit, because they want you to continue to support them ongoing, and their success is your success. So yeah, these new kind of relationships is something that I'm really excited about. And where they could potentially mentor you in a different area at the same time as you're teaching them your thing. It's like, it's a perfect synergy between you and Luke as well. Like, the fact that you two are on the same call now, like, you're actually like perfectly set up to partner with each other, because like almost everybody doing each other's course like needs to do the other one. So like, that's very exciting as well.
Let's do it, man. I'm very, very the way I'm looking at the world now is just like, how can I collaborate and partner with people? Like, you know, I think a lot of the way the world is set up is like, you know, how can, you know, we compete? How can we dominate? You know, it's all about domination, competition. You know, it's just much rather just looking at how we can synergistically collaborate and partner. So, man, if it arises, man, we'll jump on a call and see if there's any synergy for sure.
For sure, man. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's probably one of our last messages we had, Keegs, before you know, we had that little, I guess, time apart, let's call it that. After our last like event that I was in, to, I guess, reconnecting, one of the last things you said, which I was very on board with at the time through other people's experiences, is, you know, always have a team around you and always have the right people around you. And there's actually a brand I like, I don't know how well he's doing now, but his concept was a coaching business that no one makes it alone. So I think very much is a good way to look at it. So yeah, 100% Luke, let's tee up a call, man. Love that.
Cool, bro.
And just quickly, I kind of want to add, like, sort of on the perfectionist sort of getting a product out there. I think like what I've got from like Keegan and Nick and the people that I've spoke to in UNCOM is like, you don't know what you don't know. And that's the same for your product. So like if you don't put your product out there, you're never going to get feedback on it. So then you don't know what you need to improve that then makes your product better. So it's like, you have to have enough courage and belief to get it out there to people for them to see it, to give you feedback. And then, like you say, you've got to have that sort of perfectionist work ethic to improve the product and deliver a good product when you choose to. So, yeah.
I think you're definitely getting closer and closer to where you want to be, Pete. I can see you growing, and yeah, getting in the game. It's much more fun when you're in the game, when you have your own course, and even if you've sold it to one person, you know, it makes the world a difference. Even if no one's done it yet. That's, you know, I want everybody should have a course. Everybody should have a role that you can offer something to someone in here. Maybe it's a bit harder for the trainers in a way within Uncommon Success, because if you want to offer like online training, there's probably 100 people in the program who want to do that. There's different niches and there's still value in that, but it's not as clear and tangible as getting clients or, learning videos. But there's still definitely value in it in each of the niches, and even thinking about like, who do you know who needs to go through this program? That could be one of the ways that we help to launch products like yours, Pete. If it is like a training program, then it could be like, who in your family, who do you know who would like to go through this? And you look for 5 people, but it's through the extended network rather than the individuals. If the individual network, maybe the Uncommon Success Network isn't as on fire for a program that's kind of ATG-ish, because we have that. But in the wider world, there's a huge demand for that, where in our community, like maybe people aren't as excited about it if they've already experienced it or they can see everybody else is doing it. So yeah, I was just sort of thinking about that could help you. And as Luke says, like, it's almost not about the course. It's like you just have to have a course. You have to get your thing out there. You have to go through the experience of it for all the personal development benefits. And then, maybe your best idea is still 2-3 years away and it's a completely different thing that you end up. But you won't get to that if you can't launch your training.
Yeah. And I think as well for me, like, when I first joined UNCOM, I can't say you like personally challenged me. You might have done, actually. You did a few times, certainly around like the ideas of money and stuff like that. Because I was one of those that was happy to value success in sport, but then when it comes to money, I was like, oh, I don't want to be rich. I don't want this, I don't want that. But then on the other side, I'm like, yeah, I want to travel, want to see the world. And it's like, if you don't have money, you can't do that shit. So simple as. So yeah, I found so I put out a knee ability course at my gym where I work. Got like a small take up on that. Keegan, give me some feedback on that. Like, could you have done a different product and got more people on board? Like, yes, definitely. But I think that sort of kick up the arse to just like, right, get something out there, like try and provide some value. Like, then that sort of kicked on to the things that I'm doing with Nick, and then just giving me more and more clarity. Like I was speaking to Matt last week, and it's just like you have a conversation, and then like your mind opens up to more possibilities. Then you have another one, and it just keeps going. So, yeah, it's good, man.
I would just say, just quickly on that, just with whatever your first iteration is, like, try not to over or just spend too much time, try and get your concept and your content out there, almost as like whatever the quickest route is. Like my first iteration, like I spent a shitload of money with one of my whole team and production and everything. And a lot of that is already changing. So, it's like, don't overthink that stuff until you know exactly where, or where you want to start digging. And that's when you start putting your money and your efforts behind it. It's not to say don't make a quality product, but, don't let complexity kill your execution.
Yeah, just like build the framework, and then
it's like an MVP. It's like when people develop, software, it's like they get their MVP up, the most viable product, minimum viable product. And it's like just enough to test, enough to get feedback, enough to, understand what needs changing. And then that's when you start layering and developing.
Okay.
That's kind of what like Nick's been talking about in 5 and 25, like the whole onboarding thing, and then you sell them on to stuff with more features and variables. And I also listen to one of Keegan's podcasts, I think with Zach Mobius, I think, and just this being able to distill the product down into, like, as you said, like the most viable product, like the most important things that you're trying to get across. I think maybe with kind of similar to what me and Peter doing, like something similar, targeting different people, but it's the same obviously idea, you know, coaching. You know, I think maybe nowadays a lot of coaches, there's just too many things that they're looking at, you know, maybe too many variables, too many features. So distilling it down, you know, obviously you've got nutrition, you've got training, you've got like tons of other factors as well, but you know, maybe just focusing on like one like main thing, you know, like obviously the nutrition's important, but for the 25-day product or the onboarding product, you know, just focusing on the training rather than, you know, everything, because obviously you can't do that. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about with regards to me and my product, but also it works the same for everyone else.
Yeah. I think like last night, I was messaging Nick about like my product, and I think what like for the onboarding sort of products, like I wasn't being urgent enough with like the results that I want my clients to get. Like I was almost thinking long-term things. So I was like suggesting like a 10-minute walk a day, but my 30-day challenge is to like lose 5% of your body weight. So even though it's a short-term 30-day commitment from them, I'm still thinking like, oh, 10-minute walk a day for the rest of your life is really good for you. But we want that sort of urgency to be like, right, this is the next 30 days. This is what we're focusing on. Like, that's that clarity. Like, can you commit to this? Let's go. And like hit it really hard. And then from there, they're going to invest in the products with their time, with their effort, energy, all that sort of stuff. And then hopefully at the end of that 30 days, they're like, this is meant. What do you do? What else do you do? Or what's your next part? Like, so.
Yeah, we're talking about like this kind of intro offer is like, and I don't know if everyone resonates with this, maybe Luke with your product as well, same sort of thing. Like it's just a piece of the puzzle. It's not the full problem solved and they're done after 30 days. See you later. Like this is the start of your journey. Like, you know, it's a 2-year thing for weight loss or, you know, deadlift form or, you know, whatever it might be. Coaching is easy. I guess I think about the other industries in a different way, but the buy-in to bite size to start the process, to attract them, to get them a little bit of a glimpse of what they really want. And then the continuation is how you have that evergreen product or pitch ongoing as like, this is what you need for life. This is how we grow. Like UNCOM is massively an evergreen. It's endless really with the amount of stuff that's going on and building. So like, why would you ever want to leave, you know, like, so I guess, you know, for each of us, it's what's the attractive thing that gets them on, but then what's the evergreen, if that's the way you want to run your business, I guess. Yeah.
So what is your follow-on offer? So you have your entry point, and then what do you give beyond that?
Yeah, so this is like previously my entry point, just to give you an idea of what I did before, was just, you know, free sessions. So the same thing as any trainer and coach would do in a gym, you know, it's like do a free session with me or a free phone call, and then you try and sell them into the big offer, the big commitment, which, you know, works for some, but it's much lower percentage and audience. So that's why I'm pretty stoked to have run this one with Keegan as something very different, because it allows me to bring on a lot more people and give them value and onboard them. And then, you know, if they choose to go on or not, but I've just got, ideally I get a percentage of them into my next offer, which is my one-on-one mentoring, you know, where they go into like a 12-week commitment compared to a 25-day commitment. Or maybe they upsell to my experiences, which Keegan was talking about, which is Bali and Spain and different places around the world. But mostly, ideally, I get them into the ongoing mentoring, which is effectively my membership, where they get access to, you know, everyone who's done stuff with me before and all my other content, and we work on one-on-one stuff. Yeah.
Cool. Nice.
We haven't had
getting them 5 clients, I guess, would be the taste of the bite-sized thing. Yeah. Sorry, Keegs. Cut you there.
I was just gonna say we haven't spoken about what happens next yet as you've definitely already got that, but then I'm sure that will also be able to be upgraded where it feels like super irresistible. Like the 5 and 25 is just such a juicy offer that's like, well, yeah, of course, like if that's going to happen, if there's guarantee, like I definitely want this. I like this person. He already knows how to do this. How can we make that next offer feel just as much like, well, this is like a no-brainer. Like if anyone who says no to this has obviously got no ambition or isn't thinking, like that's how it feels for me with the 5 and 25. Like, if it's very, very sellable. You could have different flavors of that. You could do like a full rookie version of your first 5 is maybe a little bit different to your next 5, or 5 high ticket clients. Could be another flavor that you might want to develop, or you might just want to scale this. It depends on your temperament and personality. Some people love having just that one, that like the product itself that you're offering out, that could be your whole business where you just go 5 and 25. I'm the master of 5 and 25, and you sell this to 1 million people. Like it could cross industries as well. You could sell it to yoga instructors, and so yeah, like this is where you're ultimately you're the driver, and you're going to choose which of these things you latch onto. But whatever it is that you do latch onto, I'll be like, yeah, like that's going to work. Let's go all in on that. How do we do it? So yeah, we still, for sure, the live events are going to be part of this. But yeah, you could, if you had this as a semi-automated product, what you're doing now, and I'm not sure how doable that is, how much you want it to be. You could have it that the top student wins a ticket to one of these, experiences, and you sell 100 people into this 5 and 25 at $500 each month, and then the top people, win that experience, and the experiences are free, but they're kick-ass people who've done. So there's a lot more we can explore now that you have this little piece that works, and then it's like, okay, well, how do we change the world with this? Where does it fit within what you love, what your clients, what do Matt and Pete want next? What do they love? Like they can actually help you be like, well, yeah, of course I don't want this to end. Like you've just given me, all of this, but yeah, like this is what I really want. And so, having those conversations as well, they're going to be happy to keep paying you if they know they're going to get to full book and they're going to be making 150K a year, where at the moment they're making nothing, or 8K, or whatever it is, then of course they're in. It's just a question of what's the promise, and then what's the believability about that. And the fun thing is, like with Luke and with you, Nick, like I think Luke hasn't really, we haven't gone into too much of what's next either, because we've wanted to really have that first piece nice, and we sort of battled a little bit with what that next thing was. We've tried a little bit of stuff, but yeah, that's the fun of it is to sort of work out how it fits together and what feels good. Yeah, it's super exciting to think about, where it's going to go, and then the cross linking of the pieces as well. Like there's only really you and Luke. I don't know, maybe there's a couple others that kind of fit into this category that in the community, but there's people with products, but they're not like super fresh launches where we worked on it together, maybe that are online. But imagine if there's like 500 who've done what you guys have just done, and you're all looking at how you can collaborate and cross offer and share things and go to different events. Like that's where I see this going over the next few years. That's when we can really change the world. Like because everybody's offers are getting better, exposure. There's the venues and stuff to use.
Yeah, I think that's inevitable, Keegs, because even the guys doing my course, I'm sure Pete and Matthew can relate to this, because effectively what you're doing with me is trickling down. It's inevitable. The boys in the group are going to hit each other up for who they know as to how they're going to get clients from each other. So it's already happening. Really, they're effectively building business within UNCOM anyway, in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Matt and Pete have both done masterminding stuff with me, and that they need you to get them some momentum with clients and some income, and then we can continue to expand of what's the bigger vision. So yeah, it all fits together. That's the fun thing about it. As Luke was saying before, it's not you versus the world. It's not us versus each other. There's so many people out there who want a different experience of life and they don't know how to get it. Like that's literally what we're solving. Like just because they work out how to get clients doesn't mean they've worked out, you know, how to have a better sexual relationship, which is what Jack May is, you know, doing men's work and helping guys to have different experiences with their partners and whatever. So this, like, just because you do one doesn't mean you need the other. In fact, you're probably more likely to want to do the other and to be able to afford it because they've done your course, you know, and so you and Jack can become friends as well because, you know, he's going on that other side of things where people are happier at home and more emotionally stable and they've got better relationships with their partner. That's easier for them to have a successful business because they feel supported and, you know, they're not missing a big chunk of their life. So yeah, that's the cool thing. That's where I see this going. And yeah, linking together the live events is just where it's going to go to a whole other level. You're going to have one of your experiences in Montenegro at some stage, Nick. And Luke's definitely planned on coming over here at some stage as well when we get the event locked in. But when are you in Spain?
I'm in Spain in August, but I'm at Mike's from the 17th to the 22nd.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, yeah.
Of July, did you say? Of July, Nick?
What was that?
August.
Are you August? Okay.
August, yeah. Almost.
Yeah, I'm currently in Portugal at the moment, so like I'm so close to Montenegro and Spain, like so. Yeah, July. Like if something happens in July, Montenegro, like I'm there. I'm not far, so.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks so much for the call today, participation, sharing your stories, sharing the courage and the challenges and the tribulations. Yeah, there's so much that's going to unfold here, and it's nice to capture this early moment in the journey, see where it's headed. So thank you to those who listened and contributed and those who are doing the courses. And obviously Nick and Luke having the courage to get your stuff out there, take these next steps. Thanks for today.
Awesome. Thanks, Gigs. Appreciate it. Thanks, boys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you, Keegan, and yeah, smash it, boys.
GSD.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool.
Get shit done.
Yeah. Nice.
Awesome.
Cool. Pleasure, guys.
Speak soon.
Take care.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.